Hey, what's going on?
How's it going, man? How's your day? Can you hear me? It doesn't seem like Sheets can hear me. You guys, let me know if you can hear me, because I can tell that Sheets doesn't seem to be able to hear me. Let's see. Blah, blah, Moody, Kaminga, sorry if you ever starts with the big three of the headache. Yeah. So first off, let me know who can hear me or not. If you guys can hear me, great. If you can't, we got a thing going on. I don't know if it's Sheets' camera's off, but let me know if you can hear me as soon as possible. Okay, so they can hear me, but Sheets can't. Sheets, can you see me?
Hey, what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, you could. Oh, sorry. I was talking for like a few minutes and I was trying to get your attention.
Oh, that's all right.
Couldn't tell if you could hear me or not. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. How are you doing today, man? What are your thoughts?
We got like 3 sports. I got basketball, I got hockey, I got football. I just updated the projections for all of them. So let me take a look. Any big changes in the NBA since I last?
Well, so one thing that's kind of interesting is that recently I heard Brandon Miller was ruled out. I didn't see it officially, but let me just double check. That's one piece that, like, it makes Gordon Hayward a good play on FanDuel, for example, at 5,700. I think he's fine on DraftKings too. Kind of a boost for everyone on Charlotte, to be honest. PJ Washington is probably back in play if he gets the starting nod. But I think the main thing is, like, for this slate, I'm just crossing off the first game and buying myself a little bit of extra time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where that noise is coming from.
I don't actually hear anything.
Oh, I hear it on my thing.
You hear it on your end? Yeah, so that's the first step, I think, is, at least for me, is just, I'm totally fine if you want to play Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, any of Mobley, any of those guys. I just personally am just going to sit and go on to the next ones. I'd like to see a starting lineup from Charlotte. I'd like to see what ends up happening with Wembanyama. I assume if he plays, he's one of my favorite plays on the slate. But we need some confirmation on that. Atlanta will probably start the same guys they did last time. Minnesota, we don't know if Troy Brown's going to start or who's going to start for them. That's another reason why to delay. We still have LeBron officially questionable. Like, LeBron is questionable and Anthony Davis is probable, which makes it actually a little concerning about LeBron playing. The Lakers are probably going to get torched tonight anyway. But yeah, anyway, I think that's obviously a big piece of news that we're waiting on. That I think we're assuming he plays, but there's always a chance that he doesn't in these situations. And we did lose the Wiggins and already had lost Chris Paul. So Moses Moody is going to look like a really good play. My sort of outline for the slate is Moses Moody, 2 players minimum from Minnesota in most lineups, 2 players from Atlanta in most lineups, sometimes 1. And then 1 Spur, at least, in each lineup is what I've got right now. That sort of makes up a core of 6 players that I'm going to be using, and I'll rotate which guys. But I think you want to play, like in the Minnesota game, you want to play the blowout narrative with the maybe you play the Reed and Anderson off the bench in a more blowout narrative type of game. If you think that the game can stay close, maybe you play Towns and Conley. It makes more sense on FanDuel than that. Maybe Troy Brown sneaks in there if he's in the starting lineup, or Gobert. But the problem is that game is in real danger, I think, of staying close. I really am surprised the spread's only 11. I thought it could even be higher, although there is no Anthony Edwards. But back-to-back for Utah, traveling to Minnesota. Utah's terrible. Minnesota's good. It's going to be a tough matchup.
So Wembanyama, there's nothing. Oh, right, hip tightness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously that's a big deal. We can't do anything without that, right?
I mean, yeah, that's a big part of it, but I think he's going to play for what it's worth. I'm under the impression right now that he's likely to play, and I think that even LeBron, people seem to think he's likely to play. But if they don't, if either of those guys don't, that's a huge piece of information, obviously.
Yeah. So, like you said, we have to. I think your idea of just passing on at least most of these first 4 games makes a lot of sense.
Although you're going to see Charlotte guys start to project really well in a minute.
Because who got ruled out?
Brandon Miller.
Okay.
and we already have no LaMelo. I mean, honestly, that's the pivot that you can do, and it's sort of ignore a lot of what I said or use the pieces I said for value and try to get a little game stack of that Charlotte-Brooklyn game and just hope Charlotte can keep it close. Because I think Rozier is already a good play. Miles Bridges is a better play now. So is Gordon Hayward. And then PJ Washington is going to start projecting really well if he starts. So all of those guys are the game becomes stackable. The problem is you've got Cam Thomas back on the other side. Royce O'Neal is questionable, but Claxton and Mikal Bridges, I think, are still fine. Maybe a little thin, but if you're going to play like 3 Charlotte guys, I think it's not a bad idea of a game to try and target and just hope. I don't know about this Bryce McGowan season. I'm not on.
Who?
If Bryce McGowan starts, yeah, maybe he's the backup for Charlotte. I think we're getting a little bit thin, just assuming that he, a guy who even without LaMelo. Let me just get his minutes log real quick. I know that they've had some blowouts in there too.
Look good. I'm getting a 15-point projection from Ish Smith.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's been playing.
I cannot believe that. I was unaware.
Yeah. Well, they said there's no LaMelo, so. But I'm not touching any of that. I don't see any reason.
Whose season? Who's this? Oh, the Bryce McGowan season.
There's a chance he gets there, but I would rather play the other guys unless he starts. Of course, if he starts, then I would be willing to take some shots. Although he's not going to get much usage with these guys, and the problem with McGowan's is he can play minutes and really not get there. But it is a 3.1K guy, so somebody you consider. Yeah, if he starts, I think that's the way I would treat it right now. And I think you're going to start seeing the projections updated a little bit on that game because I don't.
So we're going to get an update on Charlotte. We're going to get an update on who's the last guy I just mentioned? Oh, the same Charlotte, right?
Yeah, it's just Charlotte. Yeah.
So we're getting an update on Charlotte, Indiana, Miami. Bam. I mean, Bam looks totally reasonable, by the way. It's just not the price tag you want to spend at the position today, but.
Yeah, I'm playing him on FanDuel right now, even at 97.
Oh, okay.
So I'm with you.
Bam and Butler would be the only guys I would want from that game. So in these first 4 games, it's either a couple of Charlottes, if the Brandon Miller thing shows up as a good projection for somebody else, and maybe Butler. And maybe you don't really like Butler or Bam.
I think Butler's okay. I just don't think that he necessarily, historically, hasn't always gotten boosts from the pace-up games. But this is such a good spot, and Indiana's so plays so little defense. And sorry, go ahead, Chiefs.
I also still don't know if Isaiah Jackson is playing.
I have him projected to play.
Okay, I mean I'm projected to play, but he's just questionable still, and
one of those pieces of waiting, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to wait on well, the good thing is 7:00. I don't have to worry about it. Don't worry.
Right, exactly.
7:00. I don't have to worry about. And then, but what if Wembanyama's out?
If Wembanyama is out, you're just playing. You're playing Zach Collins. You're playing. Probably playing a lot of, I guess even just more.
Keldon Johnson.
Keldon Johnson probably becomes a better play.
Sohan probably becomes a little bit better, but.
And I just want to touch on one thing from that game because it's a little tricky, and it's the Devin Vassell minutes. They really have tried to limit him, and I don't entirely understand exactly why. They've kept him under 27 minutes 4 games in a row, and that worries me. But it also is everyone else worried to the point where if he ends up playing 34 minutes. You're gonna probably want a good amount of them. So I just throwing out there that I'm willing to gamble on the Devin Vassell as by far the lowest owned piece that's of real consequence in that game. So I'm going to do that. I think he's a really interesting wild card. And as I mentioned earlier, my other baseline, DeJounte Murray is my favorite player from Atlanta. He's going to be the lowest owned player from Atlanta that's viable. I'm in on that. I even have some DeAndre Hunter. I really want to get exposure to all these guys. The matchup's too good. This game could just go completely wild. But I really like DeJounte Murray on both sites. And I think that he's my favorite Atlanta piece. My favorite Spurs piece is Wembanyama if he plays. If not, it'll be Zach Collins. I think they're both good plays as it is right now. Then you get into Keldon Johnson, Sohan, and Vassell. In Minnesota, my favorite guys are the Naz Reid, Kyle Anderson, and then Nikhil Alexander-Walker is significantly behind those guys, but still on my list. I think that the tournament play might be Shake Milton, but he's getting some ownership too. He's 3,700.
What team is he on?
Minnesota.
Shake Milton is on Minnesota.
Yeah.
That is news that has eluded me.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Pingalore says he's got a scoop here. Potentially don't be surprised if Harden doesn't play for this. This is for large entry. Powell won't play. Highland. Oh, this guy, Pingalore just recommends Bones Highland every day. And I don't think he's played a minute yet since we've been talking about it. Maybe he's played like 3 minutes in the game.
If Harden and Powell are out, then
I still don't see it as viable, but maybe. Well,
actually, I'll play Bones Highland if both those guys are out.
Even, yeah. Just for the record, though, with those guys out, he was averaging like, 16 minutes a game? Just to throw it out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We just had this situation, he is buried. Powell will not play according to Pingalore, and we don't have that official yet. But
that's good enough for me, man. Pingalore's on the case.
I don't really think that really moves the needle any. To be honest with you, even if he doesn't play, if he and someone else don't play, yeah, I think Powell's unlikely to play. I agree with that. But if he and somebody else, Harden's not even questionable. I don't think they're gonna late scratch Harden. There's no reason to do that. I don't buy it.
Well, just it's a back-to-back. That's all.
Yeah, but they would have announced it, right? Everybody else, like LeBron, that's why they announced Anthony Davis probable, LeBron questionable.
Right.
The Clippers didn't announce anything for any player except for Powell. So I think it's a wild speculation that I can't quite co-sign.
Was Embiid even questionable until last night?
What's that?
Was Embiid even questionable into getting ruled out last night?
No, but I mean, so is that the game we're going to play? Just jumping anybody who gets ruled out ever because they're throwing up before the game?
No.
We can't just make up. You know what I mean? That'll happen. I don't think. But maybe. I mean, look, maybe Harden got hit hard enough, but I don't see it. I think you're just going for literally giant field tournaments, trying to play an angle like that, but I just can't get behind it. Vegas certainly doesn't seem to think anybody's sitting, except for Powell, maybe. Yeah, Powell's got the weird in-between projection all across the board, which definitely looks like a likely to sit situation.
Okay.
No, guys, let's stop speculating on the Kawhi thing. If we get reason, and yes, we've seen it happen with Kawhi and Paul George, but mostly they've been questionable every one of those games. You know what I mean? So we shouldn't just invent guys to be questionable that aren't questionable. Let's play with what we got. You know what I mean? I really don't know how else to approach this. And for what it's worth, the DraftKings certainly thought it's really not that as relevant on DraftKings anyway, because DraftKings they made Westbrook the 70. They raised his price $1,200 in case somebody sat.
What is Westbrook nowadays?
77.
Ugh.
He was 65. And his minutes are it's just not even viable unless certain things go a certain way. He played 19 minutes yesterday. His fantasy production per minute is phenomenal, but I don't know how much we can actually get out of him. I don't think that they're not trying to do this, guys. We just got to stop with the speculating. I think I would just the speculating on things that don't have any basis for speculation except for we're used to Kawhi and Paul George sitting. Early in the day, that's worth speculating. But at this point, when they announce the injury, they're not on the injury report. We can't really just assume that they're not going to play for no reason. But I wouldn't surprise me either. We've seen it, but I don't know. Also, none of those guys sitting even gives you that much. It's not like you have this awesome boost. Paul George and Kawhi weren't getting there before Harden was there. It's not like it's a huge boost to anybody except for Westbrook.
Yeah, but you get all those guys out, we get to play Bones Highland. I
don't think so, but I don't even think with those. I think even if you announce Powell and Harden out, I bet you.
I want Westbrook out too. I want them all out.
Westbrook has to sit? That's not going to happen.
Yeah, all of them.
Westbrook never sits.
No.
Never. He's not a sitter. He likes to play.
Well, that's annoying.
I'm just checking. I'm still sort of surprised that Charlotte's not. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, Bryce McGowan's They're now.
Really? It is Bryce McGowan's season officially? That's it?
So he's 3,100.
There it is.
Well, we got to see if he's starting, but if he does, and he very well may, that's really weird. Did they announce anything? Because the NBA.com changed their projection from PJ Washington starting to Bryce McGowan, but there's no actual confirmed lineup. The problem is now that play becomes completely not sneaky and hugely full of risk, like massive risk here.
Right.
But because of the blowout possibilities, maybe it's not such a bad idea. I sort of like the Washington thing, but I just like to see who they're starting, and we can wait,
Yeah, it feels like the Bryce McGowan's like good for a crisp 9 fantasy points. I don't know.
Yeah, that's about what we usually get from him when we played him before. It's just not a it's a pretty wild one. I mean, he's still not pretty, he's the best fantasy point per dollar on the slate, and he's still projected for 17 fantasy points for what it's worth. But yeah, if he starts, it's really hard to ignore that. Oh wait, no, he's dropped back. Look, these projections are changing like every 5 seconds. They just don't know whether he's starting or not. That's simple as that. No, now he's back up to number 1. He just gained 3 more fantasy points.
Let's go.
If anybody has news out there about a starting lineup from Charlotte, let's make sure let us know.
We got 45 minutes. I'm sure it'll happen.
No, we've got an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. But the way that the projections reacted is usually when someone's announced that they're going to be starting or something, which we just
Well, we'll see. I'll just look at I'll look at my various Discords, see if I can't find anything. Bryce McGowan.
So it does make sense to play McGowan's, and I'll just go quickly into why. You're playing against a team that plays like three guards, basically, with Bridges, Thomas, and Dinwiddie. And Gordon Hayward can't guard. Maybe he can guard Bridges, but you don't want Gordon Hayward guarding a guy who's bringing the ball up and trying to create all the offense. So logically, Bryce McGowan would play because the other guys they've got are Bridges, Williams, Rozier. Obviously, will take one of those guys. So McGowan's actually is the logical guy to start in some ways. And what's weird is that sneaky, that Ish Smith play might be a little bit of a better play too.
Who?
Well, I guess we'll find out if Ish Smith. They could start Ish Smith. It wouldn't be that crazy to play Rozier at the 2.
It's looks like Wemby's a game time decision.
Yeah.
Well, what is this? LeBron James's manager used an illegal bookmaker to bet on NBA games. Okay.
Wait, is this a real thing?
This is a real thing from ESPN. Maverick Carter, LeBron James's manager, used an illegal bookmaker to bet on NBA games from the Washington Post.
Oh. Well, that's kind of interesting.
Does that mean we could play Bones Highland?
I think that means that there's a better chance LeBron sits.
That is true, huh?
I think it's at least worth speculating on because he's questionable.
So that we could speculate on the speculation.
Well, but he's already questionable.
Right.
When you announce your other star in and one guy questionable, I think you have to kind of assume. I mean, Max Christie's questionable tonight too. So is Cam Reddish. So is Jackson Hayes officially. All of those guys are out, including LeBron. The Lakers are probably going to get rolled, but maybe they get to Austin Reeves. Maybe Austin Reeves gets his 60 fantasy points before that happens in the revenge narrative. Not revenge, just going back home, going back to where he went to school. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, my cores are still basically the same. I'm going to wait to see if McGowan's is starting, but I think he will, based on just the lineup that they're going up against. So we'll see. It's going to be I have a feeling slate's going to get weird. That Maverick Carter thing, I didn't. Sheets, do you know how long ago that was posted?
No. Let me see. Where did it go? Not that.
Yeah, 1 hour. Oh wow, recent. I mean, the NBA is not going to suspend LeBron James this quickly.
I don't think so.
Now maybe I'm going to talk myself into the LeBron James narrative game kind of a thing.
Oh, there you go. And make sure he covers the spread too.
Yeah. So Bryce, so Neil says Bryce is starting. Awesome. I would love to see the actual official, the whole starting lineup, even though I know what the other pieces are going to be. Neil, where did you see that one? It's weird because like mynba.com doesn't have an update. It seems to always be behind everybody else's. By the way, I want to point out the game that D'Angelo Russell had last night he's the only player in the history of basketball to make 5 threes, have 5 assists, score 35 points, and have 3 or more steals
in 24 minutes
while shooting 75% from the floor. And I think 70. What did he make of his threes last night? He made like basically.
And he didn't play the fourth quarter.
He didn't play the fourth quarter. He had the most. And he still played 34 minutes though.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised to see that. Wow.
They really wanted that win coming off the 40-point loss.
Yeah, they wanted to let D'Angelo go nuts. He got 5 for 7 from 3. Wow, and he was 1 assist shy. He could have gotten even crazier. Yeah, I think that playing Ish is okay, but I just don't think I think we're I'm fine with the McGowan's thing because officially starting that's a guy you're probably gonna. It just makes sense to spend that, you know. The Ish is definitely fringy, but it's the kind of game where he could kind of have a game. But I think it's still fringy, but I don't mind it. I don't think you have to. Like, I'll put it this way: I really don't think you have to play either of them. And if you did, everyone's going to play the McGowan.
Ooh, did you know Zach LaVine is out?
Did that just come through? I think it did. I honestly don't think it is
out. O-U-T, out.
Maybe it does. Let me see this one.
It is an O with a red O. 0 projection, out.
And
I feel like who's the guy that does the guy from Rotogrize that did the injury report, what's the thing he called it? When Dean did that was called the injury report. It was like the wreckage report. What did he call it?
Body parts.
Body parts, right. That's right. Yeah. Body parts. Exactly. Out.
So just for what it's worth, they played Milwaukee already. What did they do? So Vucevic had 55 last time they played Milwaukee anyway.
And that game is at 8 p.m.
And DeRozan, I believe, sat that one out. Yeah, I think that now one of Vooch or DeRozan pops up.
Let me see this. Bryce McGowan situation. 20 fantasy points, huh? Uh-huh. What position is he?
Shooting guard, small forward. Mm-hmm. I don't think there is that much late hammer value, by the way. It's really just Moses Moody.
This has not been officially. Has it been announced that he's starting yet, or no? The Charlotte guy.
According to this Neil, it says he was, but I don't see it anywhere.
Okay.
I think they probably announced that he's likely that McGowan's will start, but they just haven't released their starting lineup, and I just didn't have that piece of news. Let's see.
So I mean, you have to imagine that I'm going to lose money on DeRozan again tonight, right? I mean,
I think Vucevic is the more obvious play, but
you think so?
And Kobe White, yeah. Like I said, Vucevic scored 55 against these guys last time they played them. He tends to kill them. They also take turns killing this team. And in that game, DeRozan was out, I believe. But Kobe White is probably, 6,600 is a lot. I think that it's Vooch, and I think that DeRozan's number 2.
They haven't updated those projections at all. I don't think. Unless they really feel like giving me over under 40 fantasy points on Vooch, I'll be more than happy to try that.
Yeah. I mean, but even he's not like free anymore, you know, like we're 7,200. Like, yeah, maybe DeRozan if you want to. I played Pat Williams. I thought that was something no one seemed to catch on to when he was announced starting the other night, and he was awesome. The team sucked, but he was great fantasy wise. He's starting, but he's 5K. It's a little harder to get to him at 5K, but I think I don't think it's like a terrible play. Let's see who else we got here. Why is it giving me
Bryce McGowan. That's what's. Is it? This gonna be one of those slates where I'm gonna just wish I never saw that news. Is that
probably?
Yeah, right. Where the Atlanta game just goes completely ballistic. Minnesota guys go totally ballistic, and Bryce McGowan at 52% ownership scores like 11 fantasy points.
Right. Isaiah Joe? Where are these things? Jolly, I got to give it to you, man. You're the nicest person in the world, but I can never understand where these thoughts are coming from. Sure. Like, if you want to just gamble on something.
I want to know. We talk about Isaiah Joe. I want to know about Isaiah Jackson stuff. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know where the Isaiah Joe thing. He must have been hot. Knowing Jolly, that means he probably had a hot shooting game recently. He's been great this year, by the way, in real life basketball, but he's like a terrible fantasy guy because you just need him to make threes. And even then, he's been shooting a lot and sometimes pretty well. Like when he made 5 out of 7 threes, made 5 out of 6 threes, he still only had 21 fantasy points. You know what I mean? That's just a little bit like, okay, that's scary.
Yeah, right now Bryce McGowan is showing up in 98% of my Sabres. That's great. It's just I'm so happy about that. Really excited.
Sam, how are you being blocked on the filter? Sam's been with us for a while. Shouldn't be blocked.
You got to be a YouTube subscriber.
He's been a YouTube subscriber. He's followed us on YouTube.
Well, you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's the filter.
That's strange. All right, let me just see the updates on the Bulls stuff.
The Charlotte thing is going to be the death of me. I know it.
I'm going to play. Look, here's the way I'm going to treat this. I've got between both sites. I've got 3 big lineups. Bryce McGowan will probably be in one of them.
Okay.
That's and maybe that's not the right answer, but that's my answer.
What's his ownership going to be? 30,
45, 50?
I got 35. Yeah.
But I think it's early.
Yeah, it is early, isn't it?
I think it's going to catch up.
Now, who is he? Is he a rookie?
No, he's in his second or third year now. I mean, they like him, like fine, but obviously it's not like a guy who usually comes up because there's LaMelo and there's Rozier and there's Miller and there's Hayward and there's just a lot of other guys. Yeah, there's definitely Yeah. I don't think the 52% is. Just don't trust your projections right now. I don't think they're probably quite accurate. But the 50 does sound roughly about accurate.
For what?
For McGowan's.
I think 35 sounds good.
You think he's going to only be 35% owned?
Yeah.
Best projected player of the day, the first guy we've had in the 3Ks in like forever. I think he's going to pop.
Pop.
Everybody's going to go for it.
Pop.
Okay, so this is a good question, Pingler. If LBJ is out, who gets the boost? One thing is I'm worried about the Lakers in this game anyway. And actually, the Q tags do make me think that LeBron may. I mean, look, the Lakers should be 6-point underdogs or more to OKC, but especially on a back-to-back. But the Lakers are never underdogs to OKC, and OKC always beats them. And it's just it makes me think maybe LeBron said so. I think that in order, I think you go Anthony Davis. You have to worry about the game staying close, of course. Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves. Potentially Christian Wood, depending on what kind of starting lineup they release. And it really depends on whether Christie, Reddish, and Hayes also play. Because if any of those guys are out too. So really the answer is we don't know the answer because we have four questionables on the Lakers.
Right. So
it's really hard to know. There could be a player that's literally not even projected to play a minute that ends up sneaking in there. Because you also have Vanderbilt's been out all year, but Rui's been out recently, and then Vincent's been out most of the year. So they don't have like a whole lot of other things that we're used to seeing. They'd have the Scafino. I'm not going to do much with that. Playing Torian Prince at 5K would feel too gross to me. Christian Wood I can get behind, but it's kind of weird because it doesn't necessarily mean he'll play more minutes. D'Angelo Russell coming off the ceiling game. You know my thoughts on that. I'm just going to pass on that one.
Yeah, I'm passing on that as well.
Yeah, I think Reeves is my favorite play, and I think Davis will be the one who everyone plays. What's nice is you do have a little bit of a run back. I think Jalen Williams is a very reasonable play today. I think Josh Giddey is a reasonable guy to take a shot on, and I think that Chet Holmgren at no ownership is totally interesting. But I'm not playing them probably unless LeBron is officially out. Do you want to touch on some football? Because I'm going to jump back and do my lineups in about 15 minutes. I haven't finished yet any of my basketball. I knew there'd be news, but we can jump on football if you want to.
Well, I'm still focused on the basketball, but I will. Maybe I'll come back a little later.
Yeah.
The football. I will. My observations though is that it's a weird slate because there's no real super cheap value. Like the value guys are like 1,800. You know, like
Right.
2,000. There's none of these like 400, 800 guys. So it's the way you want to get different, I think, is by probably trying to not play those guys and just like play different types of guys in the captain. You know, something like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like even Metcalf, who like ostensibly seems too expensive, but whatever, you know. Maybe put him in the captain, or do go the other way, do something like. Here's another guy that's going to be kind of like way too expensive. What about put like Brandon Cooks in the captain or something?
Yeah. I think that's totally reasonable.
Something like that.
I like what you're saying about that. I always think you should be getting a different captain. My favorite captain play tonight is this is my captains right now are the aforementioned Metcalf, Jake Ferguson, and look, I might be going a little bit nutso here, but I am going to play Rico Dowdle in the captain a little bit.
That's interesting.
And he's cheap enough to where you can differentiate your build like a little bit by playing him. Because the question is always like, what is the point of us playing this guy? Well, then I can
let me tell you something. Rico Dowdle is going to be like less than 5% on the captain.
You think in a flex?
In the captain, you said.
Oh, yeah. I think Rico Dowdle might be like 0.5%.
Yeah. No one's playing him in the captain.
I really think you're looking at like maybe 1% most. Yeah. I love that. So that's why I love it. Like, and I mean, look, he's got some touchdown upside. We saw it last week. Even if he can get 10 fantasy points, and that could make him like the premium value play. There might not be.
Listen, other guys you want to screw around with if you want. I don't think I'm going to do like the DJ Dallas thing. I just think that. Listen, Charbonnet just didn't have a great game as far as efficiency goes, but I think he's the guy. So I think he's going to give him the opportunity to get the work. Mm-hmm. If he gets game scripted out, whatever, he can still catch passes. I mean, putting him in the captain, I think, is pretty contrarian. Actually,
he's going to be really popular, I think.
Actually, no, yeah, him. The other guy who's going to be like strangely popular for his whatever is probably the other wide receiver for Seattle, the JSN.
I don't think he's going to be at all popular captain-wise.
Maybe not captain.
Yeah, but I agree with you. He will be really popular in general. And I think you're going to see. I mean, CD is going to be significantly higher than. Well, CD and Dak will be higher than everybody by a good amount. Then it'll be Pollard and Charbonnet.
That's true. And the Cowboys' defense is going to be overowned as usual and probably get there.
Yeah.
Just because just to tilt me every single time. You got to start with the defenses, and you got to start with two defenses, and then work backwards. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in anybody who literally never going to get a target. And you mean Prince? So you're talking about playing Fant, but the other Fant, the guy who hasn't played a game, is he even eligible? I don't even see.
Wait, what's going on here?
Neil's talking about Peyton. I think he means Princeton Fant. There's Noah Fant on the Seahawks, but the fourth string tight end for Dallas is Princeton Fant, who is yet to play in a game this season.
I don't think I'm going to do that. That's not my thing.
Not mine at all. So, yes, I agree with Pingalor's question. If Harden does not play, yes, absolutely, Westbrook is a play. But I really would like to not focus on that game as much as possible. Even if it happens, you're not gaining enough, is my point. Like, so then you're playing Westbrook in the Harden role at the same price as Harden. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's not a bad play, but like then we could just play James Harden in the first place, and then you already have that play. So maybe the answer is just play Harden.
All right, so we're still waiting in my alternate universe. We're still waiting on the Isaiah Jackson news. Yep. We're still waiting on the Wembanyama. This LeBron thing could be interesting.
Yeah, and I'll go back to Moody, McGowan's like one of those two guys are your. I think Moody's actually a good play though. I was going to play him anyway today because they benched him for God knows what reason, and everybody is just ripping Steve Kerr apart for it the other night in that tough loss. They've got to let Moody get going, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. No Paul and no Wiggins.
Let me check and see if I can find any starters here.
Yes, Wiggins is out. Slick.
Wiggins, but he's been out, right, all day?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
at least for the last hour or so.
Yeah. Just wanted to. He asked the questions.
McGowan's. Fish play McGowan. Yeah.
Ugh. The problem for the McGowan thing too is also like there is blowout risk, which means he probably stays on the court. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to play him in one of my three. That's what I'll do. I won't play him on FanDuel. I'll play him on DraftKings.
Right, so that's that. Let me see. We're just getting some other opinion. This McGowan thing is like an annoyance. It's just an annoyance.
So Shea, to answer Pingalore's question, I do like Shea fine. He does kill the Lakers, but I just don't see any reason like we're trying to do it. I think Pingalore, I think you might be a little too focused on the home team games because while I think Shea is totally fine, do I think he's a better play than I think Bam? Like Bam's projected to score more fantasy points than Shea is, which seems kind of ridiculous to be honest with you. I don't know if that's accurate. They're both fine. I'm sorry, Shea is fine. I'd rather probably play Giannis or one of the other guys, but I'm really not playing any of them. So I don't have any player above 9,500 right now, and Bam is my only one. So he's fine. He's not overpriced. He's just priced to do what he does.
I mean, the other logic is that, Bryce is going to be with the first unit, as opposed to maybe playing someone like Ish Smith who could be with the second unit.
Right, but what are we? So Ish Smith is only going to play point guard, obviously, right?
Right.
He doesn't play any other thing. So his minutes, unfortunately, have basically just completely crossed. I think he's played 1 minute with Rozier so far.
Yeah, he'll get like 10 backup point guard minutes or something.
Or and play a total of 12 to 16 or something. But there is a chance that they could end up running them both out there. It's just so speculative, and we haven't seen it yet. I don't know how to weigh that.
Jimmy Butler is playing.
Jimmy Butler's in. I think Jimmy Butler is a good play, by the way. I mean, the more I looked at this slate, he's 8,300 playing against the worst defense in the NBA and the fastest pace. Actually, not the worst defense, but the fastest pace. But I'm telling you, he's been a different Jimmy Butler this season. We will see it again, I'm sure, at times, but he has not been the same guy. It's really been Bam's team.
Popovich says there's still no decision on Wemby tonight, but he said the back-to-back makes it questionable whether he'd play both tonight and tomorrow. Asshole.
Great. Thanks, Pop. What do we do with that? Yeah. You see Wembanyama in the last game against Denver? He had 59 fantasy points in 24 minutes.
Caruso is in.
If you look at Wembanyama's stat line, it's almost hard to argue that he's not the best tournament player at any slate that he's not 20% owned. He just doesn't matter how many minutes he plays. He'll have a dud here and there, and every other game is somewhere between 45 and 65. We can't get popped because that game is at the 8:00 Eastern game, which is the game we should be focusing on. We can't really.
Challenge. I'm probably just gonna have to play him.
Yeah, I mean the logic. I think that's again. I'm telling you, he's gonna end up 70% owned, which is crazy.
I have to play him.
Yeah, I'm mostly gonna try to fade it, but we'll see. All right, I probably should go in just a minute. I'm happy to come back and try and talk a little more about football. I'll just say right now, I said who my captains were: Ferguson, Dowdle, and Metcalf. I like the kickers tonight, and I always like backup running backs on Thursdays, and I always like defenses and kickers. Tonight, I don't like the defenses as much, but I'm high on the kickers.
Yeah, if you want to get a little different. I think people might play the Aubrey. I mean, because Aubrey's like really like good, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you can play the Seattle defense and the Seattle kicker. You know what I mean? Like that could be. Now, in fairness, I mean, from what I heard, Dallas gives up literally the least points to opposing defensive fantasy like the whole season.
Yeah, but here's the only problem. What happens when they actually play a team that has a winning record?
but right, that's true.
They lost.
Seattle could be aggressive. They could.
Well, but the thing is, like, nothing that ever happened. Dallas.
It's so random.
They're so weird. I know, but I do think that it fits them. You know what I mean? Like that's they're front runners. That's how they play. They are not good at like when faced with adversity. The same thing we've heard about what's his name his whole career. Nothing is any different this year about Dak Prescott. It's just that they've beaten up on the bad teams really badly in a way that really caught people's eye. In reality, they should not be, in my opinion, that should not be mentioned in the same conversation with San Francisco.
All right, I have now, let me just see if this guy's played any minutes before I even bring him up. No. I have a guy who played. All right, I have a guy who we've played before. We've played before in our lifetimes in DFS. Okay. That's a good start, right? He didn't play the whole season because he was it's gonna be like guess the person, like what name this person, okay? He had an injury. He had an injury and he didn't play at all for this whole season yet. But he made his debut 2 days ago, in for a crisp 5 minutes. So that's a good start.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Theo Maladon.
Nope.
What?
And today,
he played earlier in the year, but he didn't play for a while. Sorry.
And today, he's $3,000, and his name is James Bouknight.
Yeah. Boy, I love the creativity of it, Sheets. You know I'm a Bouknight guy.
I know. That's what I'm freaking out.
Until he had, what did he have in the offseason? Seven times in his rookie year, he had drunk DUIs.
I guess
3 times done or something ridiculous.
He played literally 5 minutes. He checked it in garbage time. He was 2 for 3, 1 for 2 from 3, 1 rebound, and 6.75 fantasy points. Good for 1.25 fantasy points per minute. So,
hey, crazier things have happened. I'm not sure that much crazier, but actually, why though? Like, why is that impossible? Maybe you're right about this.
I don't know.
He probably doesn't play at all.
well, okay. So they brought him back. He played in his last game, so they want to get him on the court. I can't think of another situation like where you'd want to get him on the court. Then with somebody,
if they wanted him on the court, they would have started playing him the second LaMelo went down.
No. He just came back from injury. This is his first opportunity, I think.
Was he injured or was he just out?
Yeah, he had knee surgery.
Oh, that's right. He had the off-season one, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
The problem is you've also got Maladon.
I know. There's plenty of problems.
Boy, man, if I were them, I would try and get one more look at him while they get him cheap. All right, there's your home run play. If you're playing 150, you got to throw in one of James Bouknight. I think
sure.
Oh my God, he made some money a couple times last year, Sheets, when no one was playing. He did.
He sure did.
Oh, that's a really creative one.
Is there a showdown?
9 gamers, we're coming up with James Bouknight off the knee surgery and 17 drunk driving arrests. All right, and now something must have happened. I'm just going back real quick and looking at the Nets. Oh, the Nets, who got announced out? I hate this is what's hard about being on the show while it's happening. So some people were definitely announced out for the Nets, but I don't know who they were. Because now you've got Claxton projecting through the roof.
You sure about all this?
I'm looking at it. They've only got 10 bodies available. They had more than that earlier. Oh, I know who it is. Yeah. It's Dennis Smith Jr. and Royce O'Neal.
Oh, I knew Royce O'Neal like 3 hours ago, though.
No, he was questionable officially. At least last time I checked, he was. But whatever happened officially, I mean, they feel it. Whatever is enough to solidify Claxton that much on SaberSim at least.
Yeah,
38 fantasy points. he's actually almost the same value right now as Bryce McGowan's. And I actually I do like Claxton for what it's worth.
Let's see what this looks
Bones Island and Book Night. That's right, Pingalore. You can play Bones Island and Book Night, and just don't even worry about anything else. Have the optimizer program and the rest.
Dude, you lock in those two and then let the Sims run the rest. That's it. That's the only story.
Oh, we got off the rails today.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Well, you know what? I had Claxton with 35 fantasy points already.
Yeah, right.
I don't see him for much different now. I see him at 36. Why they updated him since you have more than 36 now?
Saberson took him from 32 to 39.
Huh?
Saberson took him from 32 to 39.
Oh, I have FanDuel. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
No. Don't really boost Highland. You guys really be careful. This is not the right thing to do. I'm just telling you right now. I'm just telling you. I want to do the best job I can delivering the best information. That's not to play Bones Highland tonight. I don't care if you. And by the way, if he gets like 16, does that mean it worked?
How do you do? How do you set a rule? Min 1, Book Night, or Bones Highland? Let me see. How do you do that? Let's see. I gotta get Saberson on here to see how to do that. And we still don't have Isaiah Jackson news, right? This slate is so ridiculous.
I think we're actually okay though with this slate. It's a nice middling build slate. You use the Minnesota stuff, you use the San Antonio stuff, you use the Atlanta stuff.
Oh no, I'm telling you what I have.
And then you mix in the Bulls.
What kind of freaking projections are these? Like, what's going? Yeah, what is going on with the Nets?
Yeah, they sat because what's his name? DSJ, Dennis Smith Jr. and what's his name? And there's one more guy they sat too. They have 5 guys out.
I'm getting now 22 fantasy points on Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker, yeah. But he's so expensive, it's hard to get to him anyway. Yeah, that's. Oh, maybe they announced a Cam Thomas minutes limit. Well, they must have.
That could be.
They got him at 25.
I'm getting Cam Thomas at 27 projection now.
Cam Thomas, yeah, his projection came way down. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Neil, on this one. I can't co-sign it. I can't do it. And I love the creative plays. I think the best thing from Pingalore's speculation was maybe you just play Harden, and if he's announced out, you just swap in Westbrook. That seems, or maybe you have a utility, you swap over to Kawhi or whatever the hell, something like that. I don't think you need to go crazy with the Bones Island stuff.
Let's see anything on the. Let's see this.
I have to go just because I have to make sure that
wait, hold on. I got Clarkson out.
Okay. Actually, I'm not going to go. So that was another one that was questionable earlier, but people were sort of under the impression that he was going to give it a go, and I don't know why we were on a back-to-back on the road, but that's going to probably be Sexton is going to be the answer there, or THT. But I would lean Sexton myself. I think they're both totally reasonable. I also think, what are they doing though? They're sitting. Meanwhile, they have their rookie who they're going to play on a back to that. I don't really understand what they're doing. So if Clarkson's out, and we still don't know about Olynyk, right? Okay, I'm definitely not playing anything in the first game, so I'm ready just to like sit and hang out for a few more minutes, but while we figure this stuff out. Oh boy.
Utah.
Wemby's in.
Yay. Something.
I'm happy he's in. I love him.
Yeah, I know I had something at least.
Yeah.
Some kind of news. Somebody playing that we've heard of. Olynyk, Walker Kessler, play him. Excuse me, we can play Keontae George.
When are they going to start starting Kessler again?
When that happens, it'll be 68% owned. What's this?
Right. Yeah, the problem is they're going to get smoked tonight. Like, they really are going to get smoked. I mean, it's possible Utah spot. I guess maybe I shouldn't just like. And the Timberwolves are missing a piece. Maybe not. Maybe they can hang in there long enough. But you're going to have probably Agbaji starting, which is not something you want to do. Keontae George is probably the best of those options. I think Fontecchio is an option, but coming off 227 fantasy point games, he's 4,800. That's reasonable. He played him on FanDuel at 42. Sexton, Tucker are the ones for me. One of those two, probably Sexton. I mean, they got to let somebody create, other than can't just be Keontae George, the rookie, got a back-to-back here.
No.
Although he did only play 23 minutes yesterday, so. Man, these front ends of the back-to-backs are really, I feel like the NBA is valuing them more. They really are limiting their players in the first games.
Well, I'll say this, if we do have an opinion on those Portland guys, they're going to be really low owned. Cleveland and Portland, because nobody wants to play that game.
Right. Tumani Kamara starting at 4K, but that's nothing special. Yeah, I think the best, if you're going to play anything on the Portland side, I think that it probably is I don't know, maybe they're a very thin scoop play, or maybe Shaden Sharp. Okay.
No starters yet for Indianapolis, I guess.
No, we don't really have anything outside of the first game.
Yeah.
Just in the off chance that I don't have anybody, though, I think I probably should bounce fairly soon. And I think it's really going to depend on Utah. And I'm just going to reemphasize. I'll put everything in the Discord about my final exposures and stuff. But I really think that just skipping this first game just makes enough sense, because the amount of news we've already gotten. Imagine if the slate started at 6:30. You know what I mean? We've already had news. Boy, this BAM projection is something I've never seen before, but I get it. I've never seen BAM projected above 40, 45 fantasy points, even without Butler.
Remember all those times though where it projects great and he just never does anything?
No, but this is a different thing. He's totally different. If you watched, the other night it was hard because they didn't have anybody else, but they've definitely made him more a part of the actual offense too. He's gotten better on top of everything else, and it's the best matchup. But he's been consistently just putting up crazy numbers this year. His rebound rate is incredible. His assist rate is terrific. He's probably going to get a couple steals and blocks. I'm in on BAM.
So I guess we got to do this Nick Claxton thing, right? I mean,
I don't think you have to. I think you have options around that price range, but I think it certainly makes sense. He's going to be. I liked him anyway, but he's probably going to be a little bit heavy on the ownership.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did have the day off in between games. He had that one smash game against Atlanta. Hasn't really gotten there other than that much this year, but I think it's a good play.
I lied.
I do want to point out, though, everybody who thinks Charlotte's still the worst. They're not great against centers, but they're much better now that Mark Williams is there than they've been in the past. This is not Mason Plumlee trying to guard the big man every year and trying to rebound with him. I'll tell you what. You know what? If you're going to make that crazy, what's it called, play sheets, the book night thing, I've got another one for you.
I'm not doing it. Don't worry about it.
Do you know who I'm going to say though? He's on the aforementioned Nets team, and he's only 3K, and they only have 10 bodies.
The
guy
Michael Ray Richardson.
The guy who's done well for us in the past.
I have a net that's done well for me in the past.
I don't know if you know that he's on the Nets.
That's Albert King.
Harry Giles.
No.
But I don't think you can do
No.
that. I'm honestly not even 100% sure that he's anything more than just dressing. But still.
Oh no, you're gonna.
I'm just throwing things out there. No, don't take that too seriously.
Min 2, Bones Highland,
Harry
Giles, and James Bouknight for all the money.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Do you think that if I play all those three guys together, I'll be the only lineup in the fadeaway with all three of them?
100%.
Probably, right?
Maybe somebody else heard our show and did it.
Maybe just to get in my face. Right?
It's literally the only way it could happen. There's no other way.
Right.
All right, but I am going to run, guys. Good luck tonight, everybody. And I'll post all my Discord thoughts for both NBA and NFL once I decide what I'm doing. Good luck, guys.
Okay.
Do you want me to leave it on Sheets?
What's that? Yeah,
Do you want me to leave the stream on?
yeah, you can leave it.
Okay.
Actually, I'm getting off.